everybody. Before I talk about my internship, I wanted to give you a little background on me. My name is Alix Weiss. I live in New York, and I am going to be a sophomore at Tulane after a great freshman year. And one of the reasons my freshman year was so great was because I came to Tulane truly undecided about my major. And at the end of freshman year, I've decided that three fields of study I've really enjoyed can work together really well. So I'm majoring in communications, and I'm double minoring in political science and public health. And the reason my internship this summer is so perfect is because I'm working at a public health nonprofit in the communications role, but there's also the political science aspect to it because the nonprofit is both domestic and international. So you're dealing with so many different political beliefs, different governments, different laws. So it's bringing in everything that I really enjoy. So what Americares does is they don't do one specific thing, even though they have one very clear mission, which is to improve lives by improving people's access to medicine and healthcare. So some ways Americares does that is by linking up with huge pharmaceutical companies. So take Johnson & Johnson, for example. Johnson & Johnson doesn't want to destroy their excess product, and trust me, even though no one wants to talk about it, they have a lot of excess product. So some of that product is not useful to Americares because that product can be something that needs to be continually administered to a person over the course of a lifetime. And Americares can't promise that they are going to link up a person and a drug perfectly for it to be a crutch for somebody's lifetime. So instead, what Americares does is it approves or denies medications that those big pharmaceutical companies want to donate, and then once Americares approves the medication because they think it can be useful, because they think it will save a life, they will link up with a local health clinic that they've previously identified or have worked with, and they will donate that product to the local health clinic if the local health clinic needs it. So what it really is a matching game. So a company like AbbVie will give us a huge Excel of drugs that they can offer to us for donation. And then the clinics will provide huge Excels with products that they will take and products that they will not take, maybe because the product needs to be refrigerated and they don't have it refrigerated, or because the product has a shelf life of 6 months, and because of Kenyan customs rules, they can't get that product for 8 months. So there are so many things that someone like me has never even thought about before this internship that I'm being exposed to, which is really cool. But yeah, so Americares provides the bridge between the big pharmaceutical companies and the person that the medication is being donated to very nicely. Another thing is Americares will say, this clinic needs insulin. Can you help us? Can you run your assembly line for an extra 20 minutes and take all that product off the assembly line, put it in a box, and ship it to the health clinic that really needs it because it provides you with tax breaks. Your people that are working day in and out for a profit company can feel an attachment to a nonprofit company, and because it will make you feel good and it's the right thing to do. So a lot of companies will work with us once we explain that reasoning, which is really nice. Another thing Americares does is they've located a hole in the public health sector. And that hole is for mental health nonprofits. Because what happens after a disaster is that you have huge organizations, I don't want to name any specifically, but you could definitely think of them. You have these huge organizations flocking to this place to rebuild all the physical infrastructure and to help the physical illness a person is experiencing. Maybe somebody's leg is caught under a roof and they need to sever the leg and then perform a surgery to save the blood loss. Really specific things, I know that I'm getting into that, but those are the types of stuff something like the American Red Cross thrives on. That's where their donated money goes to. But the American Red Cross sews up somebody's leg and then leaves. And that mental health trauma that comes along with a huge disaster and a huge personal health tragedy is still there. Mental health problems don't just go away. So Americares has said, why don't we go into places that have been affected by disaster or that one day could be affected by disaster and train people there on how to help patients who need mental health care. And Americares has done an amazing job at that. Their goal was to train 5,000 health workers to be people that can excel with a patient who needs mental health support, and they've surpassed that goal in a short time frame of a few years. And once you train a health worker, it's the gift that keeps on giving, because every patient that comes into contact with said health worker is treated better than they would have been before, because there's more education in the room, in the physical room, which is really great. So Americares is doing that, and Americares runs clinics in Connecticut. And a really cool day I had was I got to go to those clinics and see the work firsthand that they're doing. So doctors, after their long shifts, will come to those clinics and volunteer for free. One doctor I know has been working at a clinic for 15 years, helping the underinsured and uninsured community in her Stanford village. So that's really cool to see. There's a spirit of volunteerism, there's a spirit of public health, and there's a spirit of education that creeps into everything Americares does, which I absolutely adore. And I've grown a lot through this internship. I have seen things I've never seen before. I've learned things I've never learned before. One thing that really sticks out is being in the office. I've never been in an office before. The past 2 summers I've worked at Ben & Jerry's scooping ice cream and designing cakes for people, and I've been talking to people every second of every day, and now I'm in an office, I'm more isolated, I'm in a cubicle, and that makes me go a little stir crazy because I want to be talking to people, I want to be looking at something that isn't a computer screen, but also the reality is a lot of the work I will be doing for the rest of my life will be in front of a computer screen. And although I'm not talking to people in person, I'm talking to reporters on the phone, and I'm emailing them, and I'm emailing people in the company saying, would you be willing to do an interview for NPR? NPR is fascinated by the mental health trainings that are going on in Puerto Rico, and they want to do an inspiring story on it. Can we feature you? So I'm bridging reporters and that community with the mental health community to raise awareness so the average person knows great places to donate and knows great work that's going on. Another thing that I love is the professionals I'm surrounded with in the office. There's so many departments I've never even heard of. For example, Gift in Kind. Those are the people that work with your big pharmaceutical companies and match them and their supplies with those thriving local health clinics that just need a little bit more support. I didn't even know that was a field somebody can go into, and now I'm fascinated by it. Same with monitoring and evaluation. That is a huge field at Americares. They look at the projects that Americares has done, and they study them, and they talk to patients, and they talk to people who like those programs, and people that think that there could be improvements. And through that work, they develop ways to implement better programs in the future. And all of this work goes together. One thing I also love about Americares is that they make every job feel important, because every job is important, because development, for example, who raises the money, needs to work with communications, because development sells the stories that communications makes, and development shows the videos that multimedia makes with donors, and that's how we get a lot of our money. And then another way we get our money is by having programs that worked, and we know those programs worked by monitoring and evaluations. So even though the office looks like this, I'll show you a little closer. The office is crazy and complicated. Every cubicle makes the company work, and every job is so, so valuable and is saving lives. Next week, my supervisor is going to the Dominican Republic for a week just to collect stories, because one way we make money and one way we kind of show the world who we are is by videotaping people who would love to be videotaped and say Americares saved our lives. A lot of times we go to Colombia. I say we because Americares has made me feel so a part of their family. I literally refer to the company as we. We go to Colombia and Venezuela, and we show how those refugees coming over the border into Colombia from Venezuela have no health care. A lot of them are pregnant, and Americares is working with the infrastructure in Colombia, the health infrastructure, and making sure that those places can take on more people. So Americares will send excess supplies, excess personnel, so that way the influx of people can be accounted for and can be cared for. So all over the globe, people are being impacted by Americares, and even though one of my challenges is sitting every day and typing and staring at a computer, and I come home and sometimes I'm a little moody, or I need human connection because I feel like I've just been working with technology all day, I know it's for a good cause, and at the end of the day, it fills up my heart to know that I'm doing something that is for good, and I know that the company culture is one where everybody feels valued and everybody feels that what they're doing day in and day out is truly making a difference. And I literally get emotional talking about it because the people I've met are absolutely extraordinary. These people have worked in the highest levels of government. They've been in Peace Corps. They've done everything, and they choose to come into Americares every day, and that takes a certain kind of person. So I just wanted to say to Americares, maybe I'll show them this video, thank you so much. And to everyone watching it, thank you. I hope your internships were also amazing and you learned a lot. So thanks. Bye.